now we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about circles, in particular circumference. So circumference basically means the perimeter of a circle, the entire outside. So we know perimeter means the outside, the border. For example, if you were going to put a fence around a garden, how much fence you need would be the perimeter. So we have circles, and a couple things we need to discuss is radius. So we have our radius, the R in our problem, and the radius is half of the circle. It is from the outside, any outside point to that middle, that center point. So in these two problems, these are our radii. So to get circumference, we have 2 pi times radius. And pi you'll be able to find in your calculator. Pi equals about 3.14. But if you put it in your calculator, it's going to be the most accurate. So 2 pi times 12, I can plug this straight into my calculator exactly like this. 2 pi times 12 will give me 75.40 inches. It's that easy. So in these ones, it's just about setting up the problem and then straight up plugging it into your calculator. So in this one, circumference equals 2 pi times 14. And that'll give us 87.96 kilometers. So let's go ahead and look at another one. So continuing with this, circumference equals 2 pi, and then we don't have a radius here. In this case, we have the entire length, so that's a diameter. So in order to find the radius, we're going to split it in half. So we're going to take 30.2 and divide it by 2 to give us our radius. So when I go ahead and do that, I get 15.1 as my radius. So I can plug in 15.1 here. And that gives me 94.88 centimeters. So same thing on this one. Here is my diameter, because it's the whole thing, not just half of the circle. So I'm going to take 16.8, divide by 2, and that'll give me 8.4. So circumference equals 2 pi times 8.4. And when we plug that in, we should get 52.78 centimeters. So in these problems, we don't have a picture. We're just given the radius. So it says, here's the radius, find the circumference. These are actually pretty easy because all you have to do is just plug it in. 2 pi times 2.6. Straight up, just like that. Will give us 16.34 inches. Same thing with this one. Circumference equals 2 pi times 34.1, which will give us 214.26 inches. It's just like that. That simple, that easy, just using the formula over and over and over. So go ahead and try these on your own. Problems here is our radius. So we have circumference equals 2 pi times 8. Same thing we were doing before, just plugging it into our calculator. So the challenge with these questions is just knowing how to identify the radius and knowing which formula to use to plug it in. And again, these formulas will be on your formula sheet, so you won't have to memorize these formulas. Circumference equals 2 pi times 8.3, which will give us 52.15 yards. So in these questions, we need to take the diameter to get the radius to plug into our problem. So we have 26 divided by 2, which will give you 13. So circumference equals 2 pi times our radius of 13. And that is 81.68 centimeters. Same thing in this one. We have our full diameter. So we have 4 divided by 2, which will give us a radius of 2. So circumference equals 2 pi times 2, which is 12.57 meters. And in these ones, all we're doing is just plugging it into the formula that's given to us and then plugging it into our calculator. So in this case, we take our radius of 13.2 and just plug it in, which will give us a circumference of 85.94 kilometers. Same thing with this one. Circumference equals 2 pi times 29.9, which will give us a circumference of 187.87 kilometers. And that's it for circumference.